So we're here with Arin from APR.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're checking out the Mk8. It's got some newer stuff that just released.
Yep. Yeah, so this is our Mk8 Golf R. This is a whole list of the products that we have for it. So this is everything that we can do on the Golf R and some of the products that are, kind of near release. We have a couple new things coming down the pipeline, like our new catch can system that people are going to probably love. Looking at a couple different braking options too that are, something in between the big brakes and the small brakes. We just released our sway bars for this car, as well as the coilover suspension system. And on this one right here, this one's stage 3. So this car has our stage 3 turbocharger system. So if you want to pop in here and take a look, this one's all factory emissions compliant. So it has the factory downpipe on it. And this car produces up to 543 horsepower without changing anything crazy. So like no internals are changed. There's no fueling changes. There's no exhaust changes needed for this. You basically just need the turbocharger, the intake, the intercooler, and of course our tuning. So on this one right here, so you can see all in here, we've got the APR intake system with the carbon fiber lid on it. We have our intercooler underneath there. We have modified every single charge pipe and charge hose from the turbo all the way into the inlet of the throttle body. Underneath the carbon fiber engine cover here, we have our ignition coils and our spark plugs. We even have our little washer fill cap here, which is billet. This car I mentioned will have our new catch can system that we're developing. And of course, we have our software for the ECU and the TCU on it. If we look over here, these are our big brakes. So these are 370 by 32 millimeter, and they're 6 piston. It's got our wheels with the center caps that float. We even have our valve stem caps, so you can finish it off. Behind all this, like I mentioned, we have our coilover system with the camber plates. We also have our sway bars underneath there. And then we have our pendulum mount, which is it's solid stainless steel. And we have our stainless steel insert for the subframe, and that helps with like wheel hop and the engine moving around quite a bit. And then when we move to the back, we also have our sway bar end links in the front. In the rear, we have our sway bars for the rear sway bars, and then of course our new exhaust system. So this exhaust system kicks ass. It is a 3-inch system all the way from the catalyst back. It has a dual Helmholtz resonator in there. So there's no packing material or anything, so it doesn't like alter. It is valved. So basically, the resonator in there will eliminate drone. And then the valve system allows you to be in comfort mode on the highway, and like you just get no drone at all. And then when you're leaving your neighborhood and all that, you can close the valves, and it's nice and quiet. It's not going to wake up the neighbors, but once you get on this thing, I mean, it's a beast.
I think I've seen a few people post. So yeah. I noticed that the styling of the tips, you were talking about the etch logo is very subtle. So I can't logo, even see it from
exactly.
here.
Like I people have different opinions on this. I was just like, guys, let's go with something really subtle on this. People know it's APR. They just want to have this style, and they don't want the logos in their face. So we went very muted on it. Went with the matte carbon fiber and the brushed stainless steel on the inside. And it seems like there's a lot of people that love this style.
I think, personally, this is one of the best ones so far. I'm big on aesthetics, and I think this one is probably the best one.
Yeah, this car is fun too. Of course, we topped it off with the APR badge, and we even have the APR windshield wiper delete. Saves a little poundage, cleans up the rear.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah, and then of course it's got a full livery on it that was made by one of our guys in-house that has done all the liveries, all the different designs on our products, all of our wheel designs. Conan has done a really good job on all that stuff.
I guess I had, what do we got? I know that everybody talks about the TCU, and yeah, I guess the answer is it's a difficult thing, right?
This car here is unlocked, so we're able to tune this one. If the TCU was locked, we are able to go full torque on it, on the ECU, without getting into any sort of like TCU limits because of some code changes we did to the ECU. And then our team is working on cracking that. So we've gotten past a couple of the hurdles that people usually encounter in the first step. It's like you have to get some information out of the TCU so you can start picking it apart. We're at that stage. So we actually have made progress on it. and I can actually say that, yes, something has happened.
So I guess for people, we'd say that it is under works and you guys aren't installed. You guys have some progress. We'll see what happens.
We absolutely have progress on it.
Another thing that short term
people can swap the controllers. It's a whole deal. It's a whole mess.
Yeah.
And the problem is if you even buy an older controller and you get it from the factory, it will have the new bootloader on it. So it's going to be locked anyway. So it's kind of like, it's not really a solution for most consumers. So they usually just run our unlocked
And that
software.
applies with the GTI as well?
Yeah, pretty much everything.
What about big turbo setups for both GTI and the R?
So this car right here has one of the new Garrett turbocharger systems on it. And it doesn't have any fueling options or anything like that needed. We can run ethanol on it. We can run race fuel. We can do everything there. And then on the GTI, right now we offer swapping the Golf R turbo to the GTI. And we're looking at either putting this really big Garrett on it or the smaller P-Max. We might just do both, but we'll see.
How about the warranty plus? How far up the chain can that apply to?
Warranty on this, we could probably go over here and I can show you most of the products. So essentially the warranty, which we call APR Plus, that covers every single thing that we offer for this car except for the turbo upgrade. That's where we kind of stopped. Maybe something in the future. But typically we've kept it at like a stage 1, stage 2 level. And on this particular car here, to go stage 2, it is just our ECU upgrade with the intake and the intercooler. So a different approach on it because we found that the exhaust system really doesn't need to be opened up to get more power out of it. And then, of course, if you're looking underneath here and you're like, well, what are all these things?
I saw that.
What are all the, like, this is all weird stuff. So these are all things that we do during development.
Sensors?
We'll tap into the exhaust system. We'll tap into the different charge pipes in different areas. We'll tap into the shaft speed sensor. And we're adding sensors that let us monitor things that are what you would call modeled in the ECU. So the ECU, which is the engine controller, basically says, like, I think the turbo is spinning this fast, or I think the exhaust is this hot. It only thinks that based on how it was configured from the factory. Once you start modifying parts, once you start turning up power, all of those models are wrong. So, if you don't correct those models, what most tuners will have to do out of a necessity is they'll have to either guess or they'll have to turn off the protections. So what we do is we fix the models so that the protections work correctly, and then we add extra protection routines in. So it'll do different things with fueling, it'll do different things with boost and load, and how much airflow is going through the engine to protect it if it ever gets too hot or if it ever runs out of fuel or it starts knocking or whatever the scenario is. So we're always making sure that we're building a ton of safety into the products that we make for our consumers. And that's how we're able to push these things to a limit that maybe others can't do safely.
Do you have a matte version or a non-carbon engine cover?
So we have a couple different engine covers for this. They are all glossy on this one. So the other one looks like the factory cover,
right?
But it has red on it, and most of the GTI guys like that. Most of the Golf R guys don't like that. So we went with the S3 style cover on this one. We also have the other cover in forged carbon fiber, and we sell this cover in forged carbon fiber or in plastic that matches basically like your factory engine cover.
Looking.
Yeah, we find that the show car guys love to have carbon fiber. Some guys just like to run it open, which you can do. And then some people that really want it quiet, we have inserts here that will close this off.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it'll close it off and it'll make it even more quiet. So, a little bit of something for everybody.
I was actually looking at doing the matte version, but I was wondering about closing off those vents.
Yeah,
so that's an option.
Absolutely. When we were making this, I was like, guys, there's a lot of different opinions out there on intakes. Like, what do you want? Do you want it open? Do you want it closed? I was like, let's give them everything.
Research question,
sure.
And I personally might have a fallacy on this one, on the engine cover. I used to take off the engine cover in my Mark IVs because I felt like it kept heat in. Have you guys done anything where you feel like engine cover on or off has any effect at all?
I don't think it does.
Negligible.
So if we're talking about like an RS6, absolutely, because they have those giant turbos right there in the center. On a car like this, I really don't think it makes a big difference.
So engine cover is a negligible issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think either way. I wouldn't be able to tell.
All right, so I know that we were talking earlier about the Mk8.5 stuff. So is that something still under development? You don't have a test mule?
So we have cars in Germany that we'll be working on, and we might have to import one. It just depends on the timing of when we're going to get the car here.
But you guys plan to have any updated products for the 8.5 as soon
absolutely.
as you can?
So we'll get into the ECU. We'll see if there's anything that changes. We'll see if the software requires like a new calibration or if it needs just to be ported over to the new car and verified. And then typically, like the big thing that changes, I think I mentioned this before, was the exhaust system. So if they've moved the tip locations, then we'll have to come up with a new system. But usually those are much quicker because it's just a matter of like moving the outlets.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Arin.
Yeah, man. It's good seeing you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.